Eve didn't just fade away from music. She walked away surrounded by scandal, drama, and whispers that no one ever really connected the dots on. Remember that time an ex allegedly tried to leak a tape? Or the DUI arrest that nearly derailed her image? Or how Dr. Dre signed her, then dropped her the moment Eminem came along? Eve's career wasn't just music. It was a roller coaster of betrayal, industry politics, and personal chaos. And yet, when fans begged for new music, she disappeared. But here's the twist. Eve didn't stop because she had to. She stopped because she wanted to. And the real reason will shock you. Before she was the first lady of Ruff Ryders, Eve was just a Philly girl named Eve Jihan Jeffers, hustling to survive. At 18, she even worked as a stripper for a couple of months, a fact she's never been shy about. But fate has a funny way of stepping in. Rapper Mase literally told her to quit that life and chase the mic instead. She took the advice, and within months she was in the orbit of Dr. Dre, signed to his Aftermath label. Sounds like a dream, right? Wrong. Dre dropped her almost as quickly as he signed her, supposedly to make room for his new golden boy Eminem. Talk about brutal timing, but Eve didn't stay down for long. Ruff Ryders scooped her up, put her through their boot camp style training, and just like that, Philly's rough around the edges girl was about to become hip-hop royalty. Once Ruff Ryders polished her skills, Eve didn't just show up, she exploded. In 1999, she dropped her debut album, Let There Be Eve. Ruff Ryders' first lady, and let me tell you, it wasn't just a hit, it was history. The album shot straight to #1 on the Billboard 200. Making Eve only the third female rapper ever to top the chart after Lauryn Hill and Foxy Brown. And she wasn't just selling records, she was selling a whole new persona, the pit bull in a skirt. Fierce, confident, unapologetic. By the time Scorpion hit in 2001, Eve had crossed over from street rapper to global star. The anthem Let Me Blow Your Mind with Gwen Stefani didn't just dominate MTV, it won her the first ever Grammy for Best Rap Sung Collaboration. And let's not forget Eve Illusion in 2002, which gave us Gangsta Lovin' with Alicia Keys. Eve wasn't just competing with the boys, she was outshining them, standing toe-to-toe with DMX, The Lox, and even outcharting some of her male label mates. She went from dropped rookie to industry heavyweight in less than 3 years. But with success that big, you already know, scandal wasn't far behind. But here's where Eve's story gets messy. At the height of her fame, she wasn't just dodging paparazzi, she was dodging full-blown scandals. First, that infamous leaked tape. According to Eve, an ex tried to sabotage her career by releasing it, and suddenly her name was in every tabloid. She even joked later that a mob wife once offered to make the problem disappear. Only Eve could turn near disaster into a punchline. And then came the DUI arrest. Imagine, you're the Grammy-winning first lady of Ruff Ryders, and suddenly you're plastered across TMZ in handcuffs. The image didn't line up with the polished superstar her label wanted to sell, and you better believe the execs weren't happy. But the real drama? It wasn't just personal scandals. It was the music industry itself. Eve spent nearly a decade stuck in label limbo. Her long-awaited fourth album got renamed so many times it felt cursed, Here I Am, then Flirt, before finally landing as Lip Lock in 2013. By then, momentum was gone. Fans were frustrated, Eve was frustrated, and the industry had quietly moved on to the next female rapper. What looked like a career slowdown on the outside was really a tug-of-war behind the scenes, and Eve was over it. While labels were busy playing tug-of-war with her career, Eve was already plotting her escape route. See? She never wanted to be a rapper forever. She once admitted she didn't picture herself still dropping albums past 25. And true to her word, she pivoted. First stop, Hollywood. She stole scenes in Barbershop and Barbershop 2, proving she could deliver laughs just as easily as rhymes. Then came her very own UPN sitcom, Eve, which ran from 2003 to 2006 and turned her into a household name outside of hip-hop. She wasn't just Eve the rapper anymore, she was Eve the brand, and she kept expanding. She dipped into fashion, philanthropy, and eventually daytime television, co-hosting The Talk from 2017 to 2020. That gig made her the cool, unfiltered voice at the table, giving her a brand new fan base that had never even heard Who's That Girl? Eve had gone from platinum rapper to respected TV personality, all while sidestepping the typical fallen star narrative. The industry may have slowed her music down, but Eve was already thriving in a whole new lane. Just when people thought Eve was fully done with music, she popped back up to remind everyone she could still spit. In 2019, she dropped Reload with dancehall artist Conscience, proof she could still ride a beat and bring that Ruff Ryders bite. Then in 2021, she went head-to-head with Trina in a Verzuz battle that had fans screaming nostalgia. Two queens, two catalogs, and Eve proved her pen and presence hadn't aged a bit. That same year, she returned to TV with Queens, a drama about four women from a 90s rap group trying to reclaim their crown. Honestly, it felt meta. Eve playing out her own what-if scenario on screen. Fans loved it, but the show was canceled after one season. Still, Eve didn't miss a beat. And in 2024, she dropped her memoir, Who's That Girl? And that's where she really spilled. From the leaked tape scandal to her DUI to her battles with depression, she laid it all out. Raw, witty, and completely unfiltered. At a time when most artists her age are clinging to the past, Eve flipped the script. She owned it, laughed at it, and turned her chaos into a new chapter. Today, she's a mom, a wife, and a businesswoman, still commanding respect without having to drop an album every year. Eve's not chasing hits anymore, she's chasing peace. So here's the part everyone gets wrong. People love to say Eve fell off, that the scandals, the DUI, the label drama, the disappearing albums, that's why she stopped making music. But the truth? Eve called her own exit. From the very beginning, she said she didn't see herself rapping forever. The rap game was just her launch pad. She knew how brutal the industry could be, how labels chew up artists, especially women, and spit them out once the buzz fades. So instead of letting them control her story, she took control of it. She pivoted before the machine could bury her. She went from platinum plaques to sitcom scripts, from hip-hop tours to daytime TV chairs, from being Ruff Ryders' first lady to building a family and empire on her own terms. Eve didn't stop because she was forced out. She stopped because she wanted more than just music. And honestly, that might be the boldest move of all. By the mid-2000s, the music drama was exhausting. Between the leaked tape rumors, a DUI arrest splashed across tabloids, and an album stuck in label purgatory, Eve could have spiraled, like so many of her peers. But instead of fighting the machine, she made a power move. She walked right out of the recording booth and onto a movie set. First it was Barbershop, then Barbershop 2, and before long she had her own sitcom, simply titled Eve. While other rappers were battling to stay relevant on the charts, Eve was cracking jokes on primetime TV. She wasn't just pivoting, she was reinventing. Here's the kicker, Eve didn't really quit music the way people think she did. Fans assumed the scandals pushed her out, or that the endless label delays broke her spirit. And sure, that played a part, but the truth is, Eve never wanted rap to be her forever. She literally said in interviews that she couldn't picture herself still putting out albums after her mid-20s. For her, hip-hop was the door, not the destination. She watched how the industry treated women, how quickly the spotlight moved on once you weren't the new face anymore. And Eve wasn't about to let some execs decide when her story was over, so she flipped the script. She leaned into acting, took over TV with her own sitcom, later sat at the talk table, and even tried her hand at fashion and philanthropy. Music was always in her blood, but it was never going to define her whole life. So when people ask, why did Eve stop making music? The real answer is simple. She didn't stop because she couldn't. She stopped because she chose to. And that choice kept her powerful, relevant, and in control long after most of her peers faded out. Even after stepping back from the rap grind, Eve never fully disappeared. In 2019, she reminded everyone she still had bars when she dropped Reload with Conscience, a dancehall-infused track that proved her flow was just as sharp as it was in the Ruff Ryders days. Then in 2021, she went toe-to-toe with Trina in a Verzuz battle that turned into a nostalgia fest. Fans called it one of the most fun matchups in the series, and Eve showed she could still command the stage without breaking a sweat. She also returned to scripted TV with the ABC drama Queens, playing a rapper trying to relive her glory days. It was art imitating life, and for a lot of fans, it felt like watching Eve write her own redemption arc on screen. The show only lasted one season, but it put her right back in the conversation. And in 2024, Eve dropped her memoir, Who's That Girl? A raw, witty, and unapologetic tell-all where she spills on the leaked tape scandal, her DUI, her battles with depression, and the highs and lows of being hip-hop royalty. It's part confession, part victory lap. These days, she's a wife, a mom, and a businesswoman, living a quieter life but still dipping back into the spotlight whenever she feels like it. Eve doesn't chase trends anymore. She controls when and how the world hears from her. Now let's talk numbers. Eve's net worth is estimated around $12 million, though some outlets still claim closer to $25 million when you factor in her acting, TV hosting, and business moves. Not bad for a Philly girl who once thought stripping might be her only way out. But here's the part that matters more than the money: her legacy. Eve will always be remembered as the first lady of Ruff Ryders, the woman who stood toe-to-toe with DMX and Jadakiss and held her own. She's the rapper who snagged a Grammy with Gwen Stefani, the sitcom star who had America laughing in the mid-2000s, and the TV host who proved she could sit at the daytime table and keep it real. Unlike so many artists who burn out or get chewed up by the industry, Eve wrote her own ending. She didn't just stop making music, she chose to pivot, to grow, to expand. And that's why she'll be remembered not just as a rapper, but as a multi-hyphenate queen who knew when to walk away and still kept her crown. So in the end, the mystery of why Eve stopped making music isn't really a mystery at all. She didn't get pushed out, she didn't fall off, and she sure didn't let scandal define her. She chose her exit, pivoted to acting and TV, built a new life on her own terms, and then came back whenever she felt like it. That's not failure, that's power. Eve will forever be remembered as the Ruff Ryders' first lady, a Grammy-winning trailblazer who proved a woman could dominate in a male-dominated crew, and then gracefully walk away before the industry could take her down. And that's the real reason she's still winning, even without another album on the charts. Because Eve didn't just stop making music. She started writing a whole new story.